Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Playing injured, sore throat, flight from London, no sleep, heavy drinking habit, all adding up. But I definitely not. I missed the live show on Tuesday. Apologies, a million apologies. No way I'm missing the big show. But I play hurt. I'm like Derek Carr, constantly injured, constantly beaten up, but I'm showing up on Sundays.
Yeah, it's those damn Brits and those uncircumcised penises, man. The bacteria gets there.
I thought for sure they'd be circumcised. Boy, did I learn quickly they weren't. Speaking of Derek Carr, he may owe somebody something. Obviously, we'll get to the very big deal, the reason for the celebrations and the backflips and the reason why Raider Nation's been shooting fireworks the last few days. Davante Adams, a Raider. I know you talked about it on your show. First time you and I have talked about it. It's absolutely awesome. Game changer for sure.
For sure.
But Derek Carr said that he'd get his Fresno State teammate to Las Vegas, come hell or high water, whatever it takes. Hell, I'll even buy him a car.
That's what he said.
You said it. That is a binding contract between friends, between colleagues. It's a binding contract. And Davante didn't forget.
He said, I will buy him a car if he comes and plays with me, whatever I got to do. So I've been feeling like really Ferrari-ish lately.
Yeah,
so I've been looking. The F12 Superfast is really, really nice. There's some stuff. I want to downplay it. Maybe a Rolls Royce Cullinan. Yeah, I don't know. Some a little bit more modest. So we'll see.
Can we make Ferrari-ish a word? I'm feeling very Ferrari-ish.
Sure. I was feeling Ferrari-ish earlier, but I took a couple Tylenol. I think I'm better now.
Yeah. I didn't want it to be contagious. So, with that said, question of the day. We're going to put it, pin it as our comment. Leave it below. Let us know what you think. What car should Derek Carr buy Davante Adams? Because he said he would, and he's here. Lord knows he's got the money. Like, Carr could buy literally any car on planet Earth. He's got enough cash.
You guys can go like the brand new like supercar that just broke the speed record.
Yep.
Or you can go like a 78 Toyota Corona.
Because this is the thing.
You can go either way.
It's a binding contract.
What kind of car?
Yeah, Derek Carr did say, I will buy you a car. He did not specify what kind. He didn't set a minimum. He didn't put a price tag. He didn't say it had to run. He didn't say it had to have 4 working wheels. He didn't say it didn't have to have an engine. It could be a Pinewood Derby car. And I think the lawyers would agree. Yeah, okay, it's fine. You fulfilled the agreement.
Car.
But they are boys. So I'm curious. It's not like Davante Adams is hurting for money either, right? I mean, he just got $19 million signing bonus that he's sure burning a hole in his pocket. $65 million guaranteed. However,
he's got a baby on the way. He's got a baby on the way.
Yeah. He's going to need, maybe a minivan, right? Something with the with an entertainment system, keep the baby interested. Yeah. I've seen minivans with a vacuum inside the minivan. When you're a father of 2, like those are things you think about instead of just like, I want something supercharged. Like, no, I want a vacuum that can clean up all the goldfish crackers real quick. I don't have to lug out the shop vac.
Those Cheetos and Puffs in the back. Yeah, to get those.
I almost wonder if it'd be sweeter if Derek Carr, like, if he got like a really old, beat up like Astro van, but just Raiders did out.
You wrapped it,
yeah, wrapped it with sweet Raiders gear inside. It's like a jugs machine. You can like shoot the ball like 6 feet, right? You can catch it like as he's in the back, like something that maybe that cost him like 30-40 grand, but cool as shit. Like something super unique, like a Pimp My Ride type of ride for Davante Adams.
You know what I've always wanted? I've always wanted a car that had a foot massager in it. So if you're a passenger, you just kind of like put your feet in there, because they have like they have the cars with the seat massagers in them now. What about the foot massagers? The foot massager is the money shot right there.
Right? You got to keep those. You got to keep that speed up if you're Davante, right? You got to keep those circulation going.
Get that separation. You
do the foot massage as you're catching the jugs machine. Bam. Bam.
Works for me.
Bam. That's the way to go. All right. So that's the question of the day. It'll be down in the comment section pinned. Let us know, what car should Davante Adams get from Derek Carr? All right. So the awesome, unbelievable news, Davante Adams is a Las Vegas Raider. It's a few days old now, but we're still celebrating. We're still doing cartwheels. We're still doing backflips. Still excited about it. And it also changed the AFC West, I think, forever. Because after Davante Adams, and we had to give up our first and second round picks this season. Steal.
Fuck them picks.
Absolute steal. I absolutely give those picks away for someone like Davante Adams. And also, side note, giant props to Dave Ziegler, because like when you're a GM, you're thinking like, this is his first real draft as a GM. He doesn't have Belichick telling him what to do. He has authority over McDaniels. Mark Davis maybe will fiddle, but I doubt he'd be like that, right? Like big contracts, you go to the boss. But I think, all right, who do you draft? I think Mark Davis. Essentially, this is
he's running the ship.
This is Ziegler's baby. Like he gets to just like look at all thousands and thousands of football players in the NCAA, and he gets to pick who he wants. Like that's got to feel awesome. That's got to be so cool. As a GM, that's like what you live for. That's like that's game day for you. And still, he said, nope, no problem. I want Davante Adams. I don't need your picks. Props to Ziegler for not for being able to give his toys away for the ultimate toy.
Yeah, Ziegler and Champ Kelly and the crew, man, they're doing big things over there. Not only and they're doing it the way that I wanted them to do it. I said, dude, get the studs and duds, get those big splash signings, and then fill in the gaps with those low cost, low risk guys.
Yeah,
guys that either have played for you before that what to expect from that, fill a niche. Get those kind of guys. Don't pay them a ton of money because if they don't work out, they're not going to cost you a lot, And that's what they've been doing. And we haven't been, getting in that football purgatory where we're giving middle of the road contracts to heavy contracts to middle of the road players. And use your capital for what it's meant for. You're looking to draft these guys. Are you paying them more money? But yeah, it is what it is, man. You premium players, you pay premium price. And you don't have a chance to get a player like this very often, or not every week, or wait a second, twice in a week you get a chance to get a player like Davante Adams. But it was the right time. The opportunity was there. What happened afterwards? What happened to earlier today made that trade look even sweeter for us.
Yeah.
And I think it was a win all the way around.
So what you're referring to is Tyreek Hill, absolutely crucial part of the Chiefs' success the last seventh year?
I believe so. Sixth
or seventh year, right?
Year,
I think he's been on every single one of those 6 straight AFC West titles that the Chiefs had. Obviously a crucial part of it, right? Number one weapon in Kansas City. He gone. Signed a 4-year, $120 million contract in a trade to the Miami Dolphins, including $25 million signing bonus, $72 million guaranteed. I have never seen that much money on a non-quarterback, guaranteed money for a wide receiver. Never happened. Yeah. $72 million. That's an imaginary monopoly money, like $300 million. Patrick Mahomes, $500 million contract for 10 years. Like, okay, that's not real money. $72 million guaranteed. That is real money. No matter what happens, the Chiefs are going to take that money and put it into the bank account of Tyreek Hill.
No matter what Reek
No
does,
matter what.
That's his money.
Absolutely nuts. And it's obviously no coincidence, Soto, that the second Davante Adams was made the highest paid wide receiver in football. Tyreek Hill said, "Nuh-uh. The cheetah needs his cheddar."
Yeah, for sure. So here's the crazy thing. Tyreek Hill and the Chiefs were working on a contract, or Drew Rosenhaus was his agent, was working on a contract. And basically the parameters were already agreed upon. They were just kind of like working through the language. And there was really no hurry to get this stuff done because the Chiefs thought they had time to get this stuff done. So, they were doing little moves here and there, and they kind of, let's get this done. We don't have a big hurry to do it. The trade for Davante Adams happened so quickly, and Davante Adams signed right away. And then Tyreek Hill's like, whoa. This number that we agreed upon is no longer good enough. I need to be the highest paid wide receiver in the league. So what we do know for sure is that Tyreek Hill's original contract that he was going to sign per year or total, however you want to slice it, was somewhere in between what Nuk Hopkins signed for and what Davante Adams signed for. Now that Davante Adams signed for more, Hill wanted to be on top of that. The Chiefs weren't going for it. He said, find a trade partner. I guess the two teams that were the most aggressive were the Dolphins and the Jets. The Jets had the best deal on the table initially, and they had the money all squared away to give to Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill wanted to play for the Dolphins. He's from Miami, the Miami area. That's where he wanted to play. Miami finally anteed up with the picks and made the deal that KC wanted. Thanks, RJ. Appreciate that.
Oh, I didn't go through?
No.
Pushed the wrong button.
No, you're good.
Okay.
And that was loud too. I was like, whoa.
Damn it. What about now?
and,
Test. That's the one, right?
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one. But yeah, so he wanted to, there we go. So Reek wanted to go to Miami. Finally, Miami made the picks that the Chiefs were good with, and the deal was agreed upon, and everything went through. But interestingly enough, the Jets weren't going to part with any one of their first round picks. They were going to give up they have two really early second round picks. They were going to give those up. It's like the number 35 and the number 38 pick. They were going to give those two number twos, which is, I mean, they got the number 29 pick, which is pretty much the 29 and 35. It's the same shit.
Yeah.
But I guess the Miami kicked in a 4 this year and then a 4 and a 6 next year as well, which kind of put them over the edge. And the Chiefs were like, okay, let's do it.
5 total picks, 2022 first round and 2022 second round, 29 and 50. 4th round pick plus a 4th and 6th 2023 draft. 5 total picks. That's a lot. That's a haul right there.
So here's the thing. And I talked about it on my show, and I talked about it last week here. This draft is very deep at a couple of positions. There's a lot of pass rushers, a lot of edge rushers in this draft. There's a lot of offensive linemen in this draft, and there's a shit ton of receivers in this draft. There's going to be a lot of quality players ready to start and contribute to your team in the 4th round this year. So if you get a 4th round pick this year, that's a late 2nd, early 3rd round pick any of the year. There is a lot of deep groups in this draft.
It's a niche draft, right? Like
yeah,
no quarterbacks, no linebackers,
really,
but like lineman, receiver.
Not a lot of interior linemen. Like there's 5 interior linemen that are worth drafting that are going to make an impact. The other ones are just like bodies, right? Linebackers, like unless you're an edge rusher, if you're like a regular linebacker, there's like maybe 4 or 5 guys that are like worth having, and then that's it. But there's like edge rushers, there's like maybe close to like 17 guys that are legit edge rushers. Offensive linemen, there is a ton of offensive linemen, and there's like 25 receivers or more that have put a lot of good tape, a lot of good numbers, and who ran really well.
They're all running like 4.6 or less.
It's crazy. They're running like 4.5 or less. These guys are crazy. And there's so much depth there that you're going to get a quality player in the 4th round.
Which is why I don't understand why the Dolphins did this deal. Like, you are a rebuilding franchise.
Bro.
You are a rebuilding franchise.
Well, look at the moves that they've made. They shored up their offensive line. They got speed. It's speed.
Yeah, Waddle.
Edmonds. They have Waddle. They got Edmonds. They have Mostert. They got Hill now. Dude, it's all about speed. And dude, the head coach, look what the head coach came from. He was like the architect of that Deebo Samuel funky, run first off the, throw off the run type of like weird, make Jimmy Garoppolo look like a superstar offense.
But look, like, who's throwing to these speedsters?
You don't need to throw it far. He's good when it's a timing pattern, a short pattern.
It's gonna be all slants.
You're gonna see a lot of slants and bubble screens, but guess what? You still got to cover these motherfuckers. If you make a mistake, those guys are gone.
Yeah. Two is missing on. That's the thing. Anyway, well, clearly, I feel like the Dolphins saw the AFC just like, especially the AFC West, just kind of like stacking, right? Just stacking their chips. And like, oh, we can't get left behind. We're one of these guys. I think this is a deal that's going to bite them in the ass. I think they're just going to be like, we could have really used those picks to shore up all the holes on our team. Anyway,
we'll see, man. Well, I will tell you this. I really want to thank former Texans head coach Bill O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank him because he had no business just panic trading Nuk Hopkins for no fucking reason. He had a decent defense. He had a strong offensive line. At the time, he had a franchise quarterback. He had one of the best receivers, if like the top 2 or 3 receiver in the league. He panic traded Nuk Hopkins for basically nothing.
Nothing.
Right? Nuk Hopkins goes to the Cardinals, signs a big extension there. Because that extension happened, Adams is like, I want more money than he gets. The Packers are like, okay, if you want that kind of money, you're going to have to get in the back of the line now because we're not going to pay you that much. We'll have to put you in. And because that happened, because Green Bay didn't want to pay Davante before the 2021 season, he got pissed off and he's like, fuck you guys. He's already disenfranchised with them and all that freaking Aaron Rodgers bullshit. That kind of was like the beginning of Adams and not getting along with Green Bay, and kind of caused Adams to get shipped over to the Raiders. He signs a big contract. Because that contract was signed, Hill's like, whoa. I need a little bit more money than what we had already agreed upon. The Chiefs are like, fuck you. You're not going to get any more money from us. Shipped them over to the Dolphins. So, Bill O'Brien, thank you very much for being a terrible coach and GM and for shipping away your best player for no apparent reason.
Just got emotional and didn't want him anymore. Didn't want to deal with him.
Stupid. He just didn't
now
want to
the
talk
whole
to
wide
him
receiver.
anymore.
The whole wide receiver market's like tipped upside down now.
Just because of that move.
Yeah.
That move right there did it.
This Hill deal makes the Davante Adams trade it was a good move to begin with. Now it looks amazing, right? 5 picks for Hill. Davante Adams just got a first and a second. Hill is getting $72 million guaranteed for 4 years. Davante Adams is getting just $65 million guaranteed for 5 years. Davante and Carr have rapport. You never know if Hill and Tua, if it's going to work out or not, right? You assume so. Hill's that good, but it may not. And Davante's just an overall better player. Davante Adams is a better wide receiver than Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a better specialist, right? Speed, breaks, like he does specific things better than Davante Adams. But Davante's a more well-rounded, better overall receiver.
Yeah, so Tyreek Hill is 1 year younger. He's 28 years old. Davante Adams is 29. He's 1 year younger. And the skill set that Davante Adams uses, the skills that he uses, the skills that he has that makes him good, they age much better than the skill set that Tyreek Hill has and make him good.
Yeah. It's like a boxer who relies on power. Like power doesn't age out, you know? The speedsters are the guys that slow down.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have power and you're just a speed guy and you're like you overwhelm guys with your speed and like that is a cliff. Like one fight to the next, you're going to see a big drop off. So I said it during my show and I'll stand behind it. Davante Adams is the closest thing to Jerry Rice that we've seen in a long time. Yeah. He doesn't use blazing speed to get open. He's a technician with his route running. He always finds a way, double covered every single play, but he's always finds a way to get himself wide open. He gets wide open. So I said, Raider fans, check this out. Imagine you have Hunter Renfrow. Okay, now make him bigger, faster, better hands, just as good route running ability. That's Davante Adams.
Yeah. Get Hunter Renfro's brain and route running in Bryan Edwards' body.
Yeah.
With like Hopkins experience.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he is,
that's
right?
Davante Adams. That's who he is.
The legs, between the ears, the hands. Like, I feel like we're putting together the perfect chick. Megan Fox's face, Jennifer Lopez's ass, Pamela Anderson's tits. Bam, you've got Davante Adams. Mwah.
Dude,
beautiful.
Davante Adams is hot.
Last thing. Can you acknowledge at least that you can thank Derek Carr for getting Davante Adams, because there's 0% chance Davante would ever be in the silver and black if it weren't for Derek Carr.
I wouldn't say 0% chance because
that's fair.
Davante
That's
Adams,
fair. He wanted to be a Raider.
He wanted to be a Raider. I think
fair.
that it definitely tipped the scales in our favor. But yeah, for his part, yeah, sure, thanks. That's for the part that you played, for whatever percentage that you tipped the scales in our favor, for sure. Yeah, thank you. Fucking buy the man his car now.
So with Tyreek Hill gone, it's not the only guy that's left the Chiefs. The Chiefs are in cap saving mode.
Dude,
they shedding contracts.
They lost their biggest playmaker on offense and their two biggest playmakers on defense. Their best corner and their best safety are gone.
So if you haven't been keeping track, this isn't even everyone gone. These are just the big ones, right? Tyreek Hill obviously traded to the Fins. Tyrann Mathieu is free agent. He's going to be gone. Jarran Reed, defensive tackle. He's at the Packers.
Yeah.
Charvarius Ward's in San Francisco. Mike Remmers, a free agent. Demarcus Robinson, we got in Las Vegas now.
I like him.
And he's good, right? He'll fit a role. He'll fit a role, right? The wide receiver room's deep. So if you're going to get any playing time, you got to be a specialist, which Robinson is. But for people who say the cap isn't real, it doesn't exist, just sign all the best guys. The cap is malleable, and you can manipulate it, and you can kick the can down the road a bunch of times, but eventually it catches up to you, and it's caught up to the Chiefs. You can't give Patrick Mahomes that contract. You can't give the tight end that remains nameless that contract and have it not eventually get to other guys that you give all these big contracts to. So, again, this is like, I think the reign of terror for the Chiefs, it may be coming to a close. Now we've thought this a couple times, right? But without Hill, without defensive playmakers, I mean, they're going to have to crush it in the draft. They're going to have to, Andy Reid's going to have to figure some way to replace Hill. I mean, is this the start of the end of the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yes, I think so. Let me tell you how much Andy Reid values Mahomes over anything else. Mm-hmm. He chose to pay Orlando Brown over Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. He could have gotten a serviceable tackle, maybe not as good, but a decent guy, not pay him nearly as much as he's paying Orlando Brown. And because they franchised him, so he's going to pay a shit ton of money. And they still would have been able to pay Tyreek Hill. Mm. Instead, he chose to pay the extra money to protect Mahomes than to give the money to Tyreek Hill. So that's everything. So in case anybody was unclear of the pecking order in Kansas City, it's the quarterback and whoever protects the quarterback. That comes first. That's why they spent so much money on the offensive line. They spent so much capital on the offensive line last year. It's when you give, the two biggest contracts that were signed in the offseason or the last couple seasons for quarterbacks, they each lost their number one receiver because they couldn't afford him. Aaron Rodgers signed that stupid contract, and they had to ship away Adams because they didn't have any money to pay him. Mm-hmm. Or they had the money to pay him, but they couldn't pay him when they should have paid him because they were still waiting for Aaron Rodgers because they didn't know how much money they were going to have to pay Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Then they give, the Kansas City gives Mahomes that huge, big contract, and they don't have enough to pay Tyreek Hill what he wanted. It's definitely something that you need to be a little bit smarter with your cap space. You need to know who to get rid of. This whole fucking Atlanta thing, Jesus Christ, man, that's the absolute worst way to ever, if you were going to get rid of Matt Ryan, last year would have been the year to get rid of Matt Ryan, not this year. When all those extra roster bonuses and all that shit was due, and they could have snagged a guy early in the draft. They could have gotten a Justin Fields or a guy early. They ended up going tight end and trying to run it through with no other talent really on their team. And they were so devoid of talent that they had Cordarrelle Patterson, a wide receiver, play running back. Now he ended up being a good running back, but that's how devoid of talent they were on that team. That's how not to, run your cap and run a team.
So I'm with you in that I think Hill was such a crucial part of that offense, not just his actual production, but how you had to completely scheme around him, just took the top off the offense. It wasn't just pure, like you can't just, like Jon Gruden thought you can replicate Hill, which is pure 40 time.
Yeah,
not true. Like he has breakaway speed, he has stop and go speed, he has straight line speed, he has accelerate. It's different speed, right? 40 time doesn't tell football speed the way Hill does, right? Well, this is the problem. And this is my theory, and it's been, I think, proven correct multiple times. In football, the three most important positions, only one of them's on the field. It's quarterback, coach, owner. Because stability of a franchise is what matters. To be able to put together drafts and signings, like players come and go, locations come and go, all these things, like, contracts come and go, trades happen, they don't happen. But stability of a franchise for longevity and continued success are if the people that stay there for a while, owners, head coach, quarterback, right? Like you think like the Patriots. Why did the dynasty happen? Bob Kraft's great owner. Bill Belichick's a great coach. Tom Brady's a great quarterback. Bam. And it helped that he had a great quarterback and Belichick was a defensive coach. So you've got Brady taking care of the offense, et cetera. Mm-hmm. In Kansas City, you still have Clark Hunt, good owner. Andy Reid, good coach. Patrick Mahomes, great quarterback. That's what I'm worried about, is the trifecta of the important guys involved for longevity and success in creating dynasties. They're all still there.
So here's the thing. It doesn't worry me because
I can't wait to hear your answer because I want to not worry anymore.
The Chiefs won, but it wasn't like they were sweeping everybody every single year. And it wasn't like, even with all their weapons and everything, we didn't see chinks in the armor these last couple of years anyway, even with all those weapons, right? Everyone else in the division is getting better. And they're kind of like, okay.
Exponentially so. Like,
yeah,
way better.
And it's like, it's almost it's like evolution. You can't be a part of the AFC West anymore and do things in a stupid way. You can't just throw a dartboard in the dark anymore. You can't throw a dart into a dartboard in the dark. You have to be a little bit more systematic, and you have to have a better plan put together, because you're going to be left way behind. Yeah. And it'll happen fast. You see all the moves that these other teams are making in the West, and the gap is getting much shorter now. It's hard to win in the NFL, man. It's hard to win in the NFL. To win 6 years in a row the division, especially in the NFL with all the turnover and the uncertainty with injuries and all the variables that go involved, it's hard to win in the NFL. There was already chinks in the armor, and everyone else is getting better. It's going to change. Now, I'm not saying that every single year or they're going to miss the playoffs, or they're going to be in last place or anything like that. Could it happen? Of course it can. But that stranglehold where, they're by far head and above, they're going to win the division, who's going to get the wild card? That's how it's been the last 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. They've been head and shoulders above everybody else. That's not the case anymore.
So we've been absolutely fantastic in free agency, right? And time will tell if it's, all 100% going to pan out. Like, we've been excited about free agents before and they don't, but this feel pretty good about this one. So this is a drastic change from how we dealt in free agency during the Gruden era.
Jesus.
Right? We have nightmares. Wake up in cold sweats from free agency in the Gruden era. So Josh Dubois of the Associated Press put together.
Fuck Josh Dubois, by the way.
Put together a list of the top 10 biggest free agent signings under Jon Gruden. And this counts in the Reggie McKenzie year. This counts with Mayock. But Gruden was the decision maker. He was the de facto GM. And these are who we got. 10 biggest contracts we gave in free agency. Trent Brown, $66 million. Tyrell Williams, $44 million. Lamarcus Joyner, $42 million. Cory Littleton, $35 million. Yannick Ngakoue, $26 million. Carl Nassib, $25 million. Kwiatkoski, $21 million. Tahir Whitehead, $19 million. Marcus Mariota, $17.5 million. Jordy Nelson, almost forgot about him, $14 million. Every single one of these free agents, with the exception of Yannick Ngakoue, is considered an absolute failure on the Raiders. Absolute failure on the Raiders. Trent Brown played half the games. Tyrell Williams played less than that. Joyner never panned out. Cory Littleton lost his starting job to a rookie. Nassib had 5 sacks in 3 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. Kwiatkoski lost his job. Tahir Whitehead didn't do crap. Marcus Mariota. Even with Derek Carr injuring his groin in the second to last game 2 seasons ago, they still wanted to start him over a healthy Mariota. Oh, yeah, and also Mariota got hurt every single season. Jordy Nelson was done by the time he came to the Raiders. I mean, if there's any example of how bad Jon Gruden was as a talent evaluator in free, this isn't even counting drafts. We're just talking just specifically Jon Gruden in free agency. Every big contract he got blew up in his face. Even the one good signing, Yannick Ngakoue, we traded away for a better guy. He just wasn't, he doesn't fit the new scheme.
Yeah,
that is
good enough.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Gruden's org, never right when it came to big money deals. Absolutely atrocious free agency management by Jon Gruden.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why Mayock is out of a job.
Yep.
Is the early round picks and the big splashy free agent signings. Those are the ones those are the headline grabbers, and when the grabbers don't pan out, you can point all you want to the fifth and sixth rounders that panned out for you. But what about all the big time free agent money that you're giving out and all the first round pick money that you're giving out that aren't panning out? It's a lot of dead money sitting in the bottom of the ocean that aren't doing shit for you.
So Jon Gruden, and we talked about it multiple times, he was just in general a bad talent evaluator. Did not evaluate talent very well at all. 2, he also fell in love with guys. So you can be bad, but you can be like, oh, I really like Trent Brown, but he costs too much. You could be bad at evaluating talent and still be economically decent. That can kind of save you from yourself. He was economically stupid because he fell in love with players. He's I want Trent Brown. I don't care what it costs. I want Tyrell Williams. I don't care what it costs. That was him. Jon Gruden was my wife at the at the mall with 2 glasses of wine in her. She's I just want it. I don't care. That was John. They say don't go. They say don't go shopping hungry. Jon Gruden went shopping stoned and just got up, got everything.
Rough. Yeah, and I got into a little bit of a discussion with somebody in the comment section. Gruden overlooked overall talent for a specific niche that a player can fill in his system or in his team, and he wildly overpaid for that.
Yeah.
Instead of getting a player who can do that plus other things and paying a decent price for it, he overpaid for a player who is very limited, who can only do a certain thing.
Yeah. And
he did that over and over and over again. And you're wondering why in certain situations, certain players can't perform. It's because they can only do certain things well. And they've shown you that that's all they can do. And that's what they were brought in for. But when they're asked to do more because, certain circumstances or situations call for it, they can't do it because they never were that person.
He always had, like you said, a very narrow view of what he wants. Jon Gruden runs a Jon Gruden offense. He coaches the team he wants, whether he has it or not, right? If he's got, in 2000, 2001, 2002 in Oakland, he had the guys that fit his scheme. So we went great, right? Rich Gannon can do a West Coast offense, and Tim Brown can be that great route runner. We had a line that can play smash mouth and still, block for a West Coast passing offense. We had the guys that made him successful, and that's why he was so successful, right? But when he had to build it from scratch like he wanted to, he was terrible. Like, he has to be the worst negotiator ever. Like, agents had to have been like how Jacksonville Jaguars are now. That's how it had to have been when Gruden was in Oakland and Las Vegas. Like, agents can just smell the desperation. Like, oh, you really want Joyner. If I'm the agent's like, oh, I can smell how bad you want him. I'll take $42 million, please.
I want Joyner. I'll give you $35 million. The agent's like, no. How about 42? Yes.
And you know he's negotiating against himself too.
Such an idiot.
Yannick Ngakoue, clearly the best pickup out of this 10. He's the second best.
Again, a niche player. He does one thing well.
But at least he did the one thing well, right? At least he actually started and did the thing.
Yeah, he did a great thing. He did what he was supposed to. He showed you who he was. He did the one thing well. He didn't do anything else well.
He got us 10 sacks.
And the player that we got to replace him does what Yannick Ngakoue does well, better.
And more.
And more
so.
Yeah.
So if Yannick's the best guy on this list, who's number 2? Like, who's the second best super expensive free agent pickup Jon Gruden had?
Put that list up there again. Let's see.
I mean, is it Brown? At least he
Brown
started half the time he was
enough.
here.
He didn't play enough.
But how many guys played? How many guys played more than him though? Like, think about it. Like,
Tahir Whitehead played the whole season, at least.
Brown was at least good when he was playing. He was at least good when he was playing.
Tahir Whitehead he had a lot of tackles. He was just terrible against the pass.
Mm-hmm.
And then we let him go, and he went to Detroit. Carl Nassib was decent. He was decent. He wasn't terrible, but he didn't live up to the expectations by any means.
He performed like a third rotational end as opposed to
he got paid. He got paid for it as a starter,
but he was like a rotational guy.
Rotational guy.
And this isn't even the first round draft picks that Gruden totally.
I don't even want to look at that. We already looked at that before.
That's a whole other discussion.
My stomach hurt. It should made my stomach hurt.
Jon Gruden free agency is the only thing worse than Jon Gruden shooting emails. Just awful. Yeah. Who was your biggest disappointment?
Out of all this thing?
Mine's Cory Littleton. I was so pumped on Littleton.
I was never as pumped. I
thought for sure. It's like, finally, we haven't had a great linebacker in a decade. Like, finally, we got a guy that can deliver.
The first thing I said was, well, he doesn't have Aaron Donald up front eating up triple teams every play.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing I thought of. And he comes over here, and guess what? He gets swallowed up by offensive line because he doesn't have Aaron Donald eating up triple teams every single play.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the guy that I had the highest hopes for, I had pretty high hopes for Kwiatkoski because I think that when he got the time to play, but again, he was a backup rotational linebacker with the Bears, and then we paid him as a starter. And this is the thing that you don't pay middle of tier guys starting money. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. This is a prime example. Is Nick Kwiatkoski is you pay the middle of the road guy big money. You either pay the premium guys premium money, or you get a lower end guy and you pay them, studs and dud deal. But I probably, Joyner, I had high hopes for Joyner too. We just played him out of position.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't play well at all. I was pretty high on him as well.
Mariota was the one I was like, what are we doing?
I thought he could still play, but I'm like, why? It doesn't make sense.
That much money for a backup quarterback that doesn't run your system, that gets hurt every season? Like,
Okay, look.
Awful.
We can all agree that Baltimore is a well-run franchise.
Yeah.
We can agree that, right?
Yeah.
Look at their quarterbacks.
Stability, coach, ownership.
Look at their quarterbacks.
Quarterback.
They all have the same skill set. Big arm, mobile quarterbacks because they run the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
So if one gets hurt, they don't have to completely change their game plan around. Everyone can run the same shit. And guess what? Their third string quarterback went out there, Huntley, and fucking did well because he was able to run the same system, and the system was geared towards his skill set. That's how
as
you
opposed
build
as
a
opposed to
decent
Gruden,
franchise.
where he wakes up one morning, he's like, I want a running quarterback today. Here's $14 million, Mariota.
Yeah. I'll use him, once or twice a week. He's a grinder.
He's a grinder.
Grind on my dick.
Can't go wrong with grinder.
Bro, how fucking short is Deuce Gruden? Did you see that fucking picture of him standing next to Chandler Jones?
He looks like Rory if Rory was on all the steroids.
Yeah. He's probably 5'5", 5'6", maybe.
His youngest son's a fighter.
Is he?
MMA Muay Thai fighter. Yeah. You didn't see it on Hard Knocks when they went to the gym and his son was just like working out. They talked about it. Yeah.
Nah.
I think he's still amateur, but yeah.
Still?
He's a fighter.
That was like 3 years ago, no?
Well, at the time he was. I haven't followed his career.
Oh.
But he also has when your dad signed $100 million deal, like you don't have to like go pro quick to make rent. You
don't have to push yourself.
You can actually have an amateur career and slowly build yourself.
You don't have to do a quick shank and sell naked pictures of yourself to make rent.
Nope. You can just take your time, build your skills. So the offensive line is starting to come together, but just because time is passing and nothing's changing. So I know you were stoked on this. Brandon Parker is back. He was a free agent, and they're bringing him back. So it looks like, as of right now, and one, we don't have a ton of cap space to go get we still need to save money for Carr, Renfro, maybe Waller. Waller's contracted, but he wants a new contract. That's a big maybe. And we got to sign all of our rookies, which we don't have a first or second rounder, so it's not as much.
Which
as
is
normal.
huge because those other guys, once you get past the second round, those third and fourth, those guys don't make no money
for all of them.
They make no money. Yeah.
So, but we don't have a ton of money in cap to go get a sick ass right tackle or something, right? So if we go as of now, it's looking like the starting offensive line from left to right: Miller, Simpson, James, and then some combination of good Leatherwood, Parker on the right. Either like Parker right tackle, Leatherwood good at guard, or Leatherwood back at right tackle, maybe good at right guard, something like that.
Illuminor is back as well.
Illuminor, right, is in the mix as well. But it's basically the same lineup as last year.
So here's my take on that. Illuminor played in 2020, played for the Patriots. Mm-hmm. And he started for them, and he did a good job. He went to the Raiders, didn't play all that often, didn't really play all that well when he did play, kind of regressed a little bit. What I feel is that Josh McDaniels and the crew didn't really or don't really see Tom Cable as a very good offensive line coach. Mm-hmm. They were like, dude, what the hell? We had this guy last year, and he was a lot better than he is now. What the fuck? What the hell are they doing with these guys? They feel like, I think they feel they can go in there and coach these guys up, and they'll be a lot better than they were last year. That's how I feel. Plus, we had like the worst luck ever as far as injuries go.
Yeah.
We
lost our two starting guards like
before the season,
45 minutes into the season. Yeah. And obviously Leatherwood didn't, play terrible. So my philosophy on O-line, actually, let's continue your conversation first before I move on. Remember 2 seasons ago, we were like praising Tom Cable for how many, we had even worse injury 2 seasons ago than we did last season at line. And Cable somehow with duct tape and baling wire put together 5 dudes that could compete for us. Right. So he
put together a right side. The left side was still intact and the center was still intact.
Right. But we were on like our 4th string tackle at one point, right? Like that's what I'm talking about, is like he had an ability to create enough depth and flexibility of guys. Like he really wants guys that can play both sides, can play guard and tackle. Like that was a big thing for him. And that became clutch for us, where they're just plugging, like we're just shoving like our fingers into holes in the ship, right? Just like whatever.
Would you say we were sticking our fingers in the dike?
I would say we were shocking the dike with our fingers so we didn't get too wet and sunk. If I'm painting a proper picture with my words now.
Perfect.
But I think what the Patriots are saying is like maybe Tom Cable was great at keeping a ship from sinking and keeping some versatility. But as far as coaching guys fundamentally or maybe emotionally, right, just get you like jacked up and smart and know what you're doing, I don't think they believed at all in Tom Cable. It was our line did not play well last year, and they're more or less keeping it intact.
Yeah, and they had Brown. They had Trent Brown. They had Trent Brown came to our team for a couple of years, and then they went back over to the Patriots, and they're like, dude, what the fuck? What the hell are you guys doing with them over there? And that's just honestly how I feel. I feel that they just didn't have a lot of confidence in the ability to develop in Tom Cable. And if they have a lot more confidence in their own coaching to be able to get these guys put in the right positions. With that versatility is why I think Leatherwood was valued a little bit more, a little higher than he should have been, because he did start at guard and tackle for Alabama.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see where we go from here. Hopefully things pan out. There's a lot of offensive linemen in this draft. Hopefully we hit on someone and he keeps us a surprise and comes out to be a good guy for us.
So this is my silver lining and my layer of optimism. I'm not just kind of like pushing this like sunshine up your ass for the sake of it. This is, and we've had this conversation before, exactly how I feel about offensive line. I always forget the stat. I gotta get the exact stat so I'm quoting it correctly. But there was a stat I saw, and this isn't the exact number. This is generally what it was. In the last 10 years or so, there's only been like 10 times that the starting 5 offensive linemen in week 1 made it to the end of the season, right? There wasn't injuries. There wasn't guys getting traded. There wasn't guys moving around. That you're starting left tackle, left guard, center, right tackle in the first minute of week 1 was the exact same in the last minute of your last game. It's only happened 10 times in the last 10 years. Something like 8 of those teams made it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right? Continuity of your line. Again, those aren't the exact numbers, but it's something crazy like that. It's like it rarely happens, and when it does, it's Super Bowl caliber teams, right? So there's a lot of things that you can't control. You obviously can't completely control injuries, but you can decide that you can sign younger guys and guys that don't have a history of being injury prone, right? Richie Incognito. We all wanted him to play, but like, okay, the guy's 38, injured every time. Like, no shocker he got hurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Continuity of offensive line is so crucial. Like you talk about quarterbacks and receivers jiving with each other, DBs being able to feel where everyone's going to go and cover everybody. Like we talk about that all the time. Offensive line continuity is more important than any other position group. Absolutely crucial, right? So keeping them all playing together is huge. How do you do that? You sign young guys. You get guys all together that are young, and maybe they're not all perfect, but maybe they can be perfect together if they can play together for a long time. Colton Miller, 26. John Simpson, 24. Andre James, 24. Denzel Good, the outlier, he's 31. Alex Leatherwood, 23. Brandon Parker, 26. Other than Good, who's older and's been hurt, none of these guys really have a lot of injury issues. Colton, obviously, rookie year, that was it. Leatherwood, despite playing terrible, played all last season. Andre James played all of last season. Like, these are guys that if they they're going to be all 1 year better together because they all played together last season, all 1 year better, all 1 year smarter. They might be thinking, all right, maybe they're not the perfect line right now. Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Maybe they're not the perfect line right now, but we can coach them up. They don't get hurt. They can stay together for years. We've basically locked up the only ones people want, and then the not so good ones we've, cheap deals. Like no one's knocking down the door for Brandon Parker, right? We can keep the cheap guys.
Brandon fucking Parker.
I think that's their game plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're thinking the same way I am. Go young, low injury potential, coach them up, keep them together. O-line continuity is absolutely crucial, and I think that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, also, again, this draft is so deep in offensive line You can hit late. You see like Teron Armstead. He's got a freaking huge deal. He was like a 7th round draft pick from a small school. When who's the guy from the Packers? Bakhtiari. He's like their anchor offensive lineman. He came out a year where there was a lot of good offensive linemen as well. He was drafted in the 4th round.
Yeah.
You can get when there's quality offensive lineman depth, you can get guys late. We can get a guy late.
And the beautiful thing is they're probably not going to be, and this is the thing is, if we got we don't have a 1st or 2nd round pick. So if we got a 1st or 2nd rounder, we're thinking starting real soon, right? Start right away. 3rd, 4th rounder, the expectation's probably not there. Hopefully we get a guy that can start that early. Like that'd be great. But you usually don't expect a 3rd or 4th round lineman to start week 1. But so you've got a kind of a mixture of, all right, you can throw another young guy into this mix, right? You're only, 2 or 3 years younger than most of the guys. If you're really great, you can replace a Parker, a Good. A lot of people are pretty down on Simpson, like maybe even Simpson's out there, but you don't have to. Like you've got someone that's been in the system that's decent that they think that the Raiders think can fill that role, but you've got another crop of rookies coming up that either just adding depth or can push out guys. Like only 2 positions are for sure starting, right? Miller and James. That's it, right? The 2 UCLA boys. So the only guys that are for sure starting. So it's a kind of good little spot, right? Unlike last year, it's like, all right, we're going 1st round tackle and he has to start, right? Leatherwood.
Yeah,
this is opposite.
He's starting.
Like this is opposite. It's all right. None of these guys have to start, but maybe they could. And you've given yourself some options with depth.
For that reason, I think they're going to go probably in the 3rd or 4th, depending on who's available. If there's a guy that drops into the 3rd at a different position, they'll probably go with something like that. Maybe a linebacker or even a receiver for that matter. But if they get they're going to draft look for an athletic, maybe out of a smaller school, an athletic offensive lineman. A guy that they can okay, this guy's got a lot of athletic ability.
Little project.
He's going to be really good, and we know we can coach him up. Let's grab him, and I think that's what we're going to do. You heard it here first.
Okay. Are you blocked by Derek Carr on Twitter yet?
I am not.
You're not?
Oh. Who the hell am I?
Well, I feel like every Derek Carr hater is blocked him by now, but somehow you've managed to.
Who said I hate Derek Carr?
You do every time I talk to you. But Derek Carr is notorious for smashing that block button, right? As much as our listeners love to hit our subscribe button, he loves to hit that block button. So he tweeted out over the weekend, since some of y'all are sensitive, I will remind you that I only want people who encourage, speak life into me, and uplift me to have a voice in my life. So if you're blocked, you probably acted like a clown for clout. I still love you all, but I don't have time for your negativity. Because Derek Carr's famous for blocking people. Like people don't even know why. You gently say hey, Carr, great game. Awesome job, man. I'm your biggest fan. Maybe work on your fumbling. Bam, blocked. Done. Get out of here. That's Derek Carr on Twitter. So let me ask you this. Derek Carr got thin skin? Is he too sensitive? Can't take criticism? A little too hot in these internet streets for him?
Have you heard of the term projecting?
I have. That's how I vomit when I drink too much Jack Daniels.
Yeah. I think he might be projecting onto the Twitter sphere by calling everyone else sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
Since y'all are so sensitive, I block you because you guys say mean things.
The best part is the irony. It's the only people who don't see this are the ones that you've blocked. So you're talking to all the people who are blocked. It's like me saying, hey,
and talking about clout, that these people who are blocked are going to see it because the other people are going to retweet it. That's the clout that you're looking for from the people that you already blocked. It's there's so much
it's just funny to me because that's like me saying, hey, to all you people who don't speak English, I have a message for you. And then I do the speech in English.
Bro, look, both things can be true. He can be look, I only want positivity in my life. I want to get negativity away from me. I only want positive influence. I only want positive stuff in my life. Yep. The problem with that is it's not real life. Now, Twitter is not real life, but if you're shielding yourself from that kind of stuff on Twitter, I don't know, man. It doesn't sit well with me. Like you have to be able to handle some kind of criticism and be able to compartmentalize these things. Grab something, look at it, see it for what it is, dust it off, and put it in its proper place. Because if you're completely sheltering yourself from that, there's a reason why. And I don't buy that. It's just I don't want negativity in my life. I think he is a little bit thin-skinned.
So I have a few thoughts on this. One, I can understand someone going on Twitter and, like I said, Twitter is a bubble. It is not real life at all. Like it is the smallest of the social medias. Instagram's bigger, Facebook is bigger, like everything's bigger than Twitter. It's a tiny little bubble, but it's the one that a lot of like movers and shakers care about, right? Media cares about it because they want the followers because that's part of their business. Like it's held on a high pedestal, but it's the smallest and the least influent, like the least important. Mm-hmm. So for instance, when I was on Snapchat purely to follow Instagram models because you can do nudity on Snapchat back in the day. That's the only reason I was on Snapchat. I wasn't there for sports. I wasn't there for politics. I wasn't there to follow friends. I was just there to watch hot chicks shake their asses. That was it, right? I could understand Derek Carr saying, when I'm on Twitter, I don't want to hear negativity. I don't want to hear people assessing my game. I'm just here for whatever reason, right? And if people want to talk about my game negatively, you're gone because that's not what I'm doing on Twitter. I am doing it for this one specific purpose. So I can see Derek Carr saying, look, the guy wanted he moved next door to Jon Gruden, the guy that was up his ass 24/7, right? He can handle criticism. I think he just wants criticism from his coach, his colleagues, his teammates, his brothers. He doesn't want it from you or me on Twitter.
That's not real life, man. That's just not the way it works.
Neither's Twitter.
I understand, but that's not the way Twitter works. It
is if you block everybody.
Again, you're going to continually be able to block. You have to block people because it's not going to stop. Mm-hmm. You know, so it's just going to make you more frustrated. You know, it's like that's the first couple episodes where we really started getting a lot of comments. Only one or two episodes did like some of the comments really start like bug me. After that, I'm like, look, they're listening, they're giving their opinion, they're doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I'm not a reporter by any means. I'm like more of an analyst than anything. I'm just analyzing, giving my thoughts and opinions. And that's what these people are doing. That's what the fans are doing. That's what everyone who's listening and watching is doing. And that's fine. So we disagree. You and I disagree all the fucking time. I don't care. That's fine. I'll buy these guys. Anyone who's a Windbag follower, come up and tell me that you're a Windbag follower, and I'll buy you a beer. Okay, no problems. I don't think anything. And I just had I had that moment of clarity where I'm like, dude, why am I even why am I getting upset over somebody not agreeing with something that I'm saying? It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's not going to stop. Number one. It's only going to get worse if I feed into it, and I feel Derek Carr is only making it worse by doing shit like this. It's beneath him to act this way. I have a higher opinion of him as a person than to do something like this. This is ridiculous.
Again, it's Twitter. It's not real life. Like if he went to like a press conference and just like went like this,
but he's responding to it in his life. He's responding to it in its life. I understand it's Twitter, but that's his real life responding to it.
But by that logic, it's like all RJ cares about is chicks shaking their asses because that's all I did on Snapchat. Which maybe isn't that far from the truth, right? Maybe I did just kind of out myself. Maybe I did out myself. So like for me, right? I learned a long. I've been a radio host for over a decade. I've been a I don't know MMA personality, but like I've been either an editor of a magazine or a radio host or whatever in MMA for over 15 years, right? So like I've had an audience of some kind for a long time. I've been in media a long time. And I learned a long time ago any like negativity that comes my way that isn't factually critical, it's water off a duck's back. RJ, I hate you. Your takes are terrible. Oh, RJ, you're a poopy face. Like, oh man, how'd you get you're terrible? Like, all that's water off a duck's back. The criticism that gets me is when it's true. When they say, hey, RJ, you got that stat wrong. Oh, hey, RJ, like you said, Brandon Couture is 2-1 against Chuck Liddell. He's actually 1-2. Like, that's what gets me when it's right. Not when you say something about me that's wrong or something I disagree with. I can handle that all day long. What gets me is when you point out how I'm incorrect factually. That's what gets me. So I think Derek Carr is kind of like, look, I'll take all the criticism all day long from Gruden. I'll take it all day long from McDaniels. I'll take it all day long from Hunter and Waller and my brothers, and I'll take that all day long. I just don't want to hear it from Twitter eggs.
Okay.
Or maybe he's super thin-skinned. I don't know. You ready to do some What Up Windbags?
Yes, sir.
Wreckin' Dragon.
Ooh.
This is talking about the video on how Max Crosby got a Raiders tattoo before he ever played a snap for the Raiders. Great little short that I made. Not to toot my own horn. Never be loyal to a team as a player. Only fans are loyal. The game is a business. You may just find yourself getting traded next year with a Raiders tattoo on your arm. Food for thought. Davante got traded. Russell got traded. Let that soak in. So I've never been like, obviously tattoos are permanent, but that doesn't mean the permanence is the tattoo. So like the Raiders drafted Max Crosby. No matter, Max Crosby can play for 10 other teams the rest of his career. That fact will never change. He was drafted by the Raiders. He played his first game in the NFL on the Raiders. He got his very first sack in the NFL on the Raiders. He got his first giant contract, multi-million-dollar contract from the Raiders. All that is true no matter what. Like, that never changes. That's part of his journey. That's part of who he is. That's part of the fabric that is Max Crosby, the man, the NFL player, anything, right? I don't think at all, even if he gets traded, I don't think it's dumb at all that he's going to, be playing for the Cardinals with a Raiders tattoo. Like, he was a Raider. That's part of his journey forever, no matter what. And maybe he gets a Cardinals one underneath it. Like, the guy loves his ink, right? Like, he's not done getting tattoos, right? So I've never been a believer of like, oh, don't get that tattoo because what if things change? It's like, it's part of your journey. Whether if that part of your journey changes, it's still part of what makes you you.
Yeah, you don't erase that from existence because it's not there anymore, right? The only thing you don't put on your body, gentlemen, remember what is it? A chick's name.
Unless it's your daughter or your mom.
Daughter or your mom, that's it. Or if you were raised by your grandma or something like that, yeah. But that's nothing else.
Jeff Garrison, one of the most active commenters.
That's my boy.
Of our show. Boy, Jeff. It's hilarious how 3/4 of Raider Nation was having to be talked off the ledge a couple days ago, saying, it's a rebuild. We're trading Carr. Another one playoff season. The team is gutted, blah, blah, blah. Thank God that they were actually doing what I kept telling everyone they were doing in getting Adams and making smart deals to get legit game-changing players without overpaying for them like the previous management team would have. I'm so stoked. Let's go Raiders. Just win, baby. Raider Nation for life.
For life.
This is what our text chain with you, me, and Rory, like I was talking Rory off the ledge. We're literally 40 hours into free agency last week. Like, not even 2 full days into free agency.
Yeah, he was flipping out.
And Rory's like, oh, God, no. Trade everybody. Get rid of Carr for picks. We can't compete in this division. Broncos just got Russell Wilson. Let's wave the white flag. Like, we have a new coach, new system. We're gonna suck. Like,
yeah, I'm like, chill, bro.
He was ready to give up on the season after the second best Raiders season in the last 20 years. He's ready to give up after not even 2 full days of free agency. And what was I saying? We're just getting started.
Yeah, like, patience is not a bad thing. That's what I said last week.
Ziegler and McDaniels don't even know our own roster yet, let alone who they're going to get. Like, there's tons of time. We're a month and a half away from the draft. We're 6 months away from the season. Like, there's so much time. Relax, everybody. So we said this last week, but me, you, Jeff, the Restorator Nation that was telling all the flipping out people to relax, we deserve another victory lap. Mm-hmm. We deserve another we told you so. Chill out. We have plenty of time to freak out later on if nothing happens. But right now you guys are worried because it's the first play of the game and we had one incomplete pass and you're ready to like forfeit the game. It's like the game just started. Relax.
Yeah, there's 3 big waves. I said it before. There's the first wave of free agency, which started last week. There's the draft, and then there's the post-June 1st wave of free agency after all these cuts. You're going to see a bunch more money hit the cap after June 1st. Now, just because the players have been cut, like Littleton was cut, Nassib was cut, Kwiatkoski, like that money hasn't been put on our books yet. We're going to get it, but it's not there yet. So that's after June 1st. So there's different waves of free agency. So just chill. Just chill. What I like is, and what he actually said, Mr. Garrison said, was game-changing playmakers, which is what I called for before free agency started. We need players. We need to get us some players, some playmakers on both sides of the ball, which we had players. We didn't have playmakers. We needed more of that. And that's what we did. We went out and got playmakers. We got playmakers on both sides of the ball.
We ain't done yet, boys.
Nope, not yet.
We ain't done yet. Dominique 5.
Another one
still
of my
have
boys.
holes to fill at left guard, right tackle, linebacker, defensive tackle, and I would still trade for Cooks. We need wide receiver 2. We are in win now mode. Go all in. Just win, baby. What do you think what are our priorities position-wise to fill now? Which positions have to be filled now? Because we just talked about line, which is making me think they're not going to drastically touch it. Depth, draft, no big splashes. Linebacker, I kind of like where we're at.
We need another linebacker.
In the 3-4, is it going to be like, is Max going to have his like hands out of the dirt maybe more? Like, is he going to be considered an outside linebacker more? Like,
Chandler Jones was that position when he played in New England. He actually covered the flat sometimes, which I don't think he's going to be doing anymore. I think he's going to play more the end position than that outside linebacker. I think that might be Max. But
I would love to see Max every now and then just to throw off a quarterback, kind of float into coverage. He's got good vision. Like, I know it's the Pro Bowl. Like, who cares about the Pro Bowl? But he batted down 3 passes in the Pro Bowl because that's the only time he was ever in coverage, right? Because you're not rushing the passer. So you're just kind of like pushing him into like watching. And he you saw he almost got a pick 6 in the very first game or very first play. Like, it's like, he's got a pretty good eye for where the ball's going to go if it's in the air.
So talent-wise, not player-wise, but talent-wise, these are the positions I feel where we could use the most help. I feel we can use the most help talent-wise on the offensive line, at linebacker, and in the secondary. That's where I feel we can use the most talent.
Players.
Well, offensive line really don't have players, but you got some dudes on there. But
there's players and then there's dudes.
Yeah.
If you're
dudes are just like, whew.
Look at that dude.
That's a dude right there.
That's a dude. All right. Well, that's it for this episode of the Autumn Windbags. We'll be back next week. Obviously, I'm hopping on a plane tomorrow, heading to Ohio. Again, bringing my gear in case
Ohio.
Gilmore, Mathieu, in case another big splash comes our way.
Don't tease my niblets.
I hope I'm not jinxing it by bringing my gear because I brought all my gear to London and nothing
fucking happened.
Nothing happened. I'm bringing it again to Ohio. We'll see.
Actually, was it Davante when you were in England?
It was actually. It was when I landed and I was.
So there you go.
There you go. So we didn't do anything because I had just landed and it was like jet lag and I was like just slept for like 6 hours in the middle of the day. It's like we didn't do anything. A lot less jet lag going to Ohio than going to the UK.
True.
So as soon as I land, I'm going to check and see if every time I hop on a plane, we get a new player. But until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Congratulations for making it all the way to the end of our video. If you want Darren Waller to catch 20 touchdown passes next season and for Max Crosby to have 30 sacks, go ahead and subscribe and click the next video.